Deep space was silent, dark and endless. There were no sounds, no wind, no life. Only cold, empty space stretching forever. The human patrol ship named Horizon Watcher moved slowly through this empty region. Its engines were quiet, because normal movement was not allowed in this sector. This area of space was known as the Dead Zone, a place where light felt weak and even stars looked broken. Long ago, two powerful alien empires fought a massive war here. That war ended suddenly, and after that, no one returned to this region. Entire fleets disappeared without any message. Even rescue ships never came back, so the galaxy made one rule: never enter the Dead Zone under any condition. But the human ship was not here by accident. It was on a deep patrol mission, checking old silent regions for unknown threats. On the bridge, the human captain stood still. He was calm, but his eyes were always watching every screen. The crew respected him because he never panicked. Even in the most dangerous situations, he stayed focused and silent. Suddenly, one of the sensors gave a weak alert. A small energy spike appeared far ahead in space. At first, it looked like a system error, because nothing was supposed to exist in this dead region. But then the signal appeared again, stronger this time, but still broken and unstable. The communication officer looked confused. He checked the readings again and again, but the signal was real. "Captain," he said slowly, "we are receiving something. But it should not be possible." The bridge became silent immediately. Every crew member turned their attention to the main screen. The captain stepped forward. His face showed no fear, only curiosity. "Open the channel," he ordered. The officer hesitated for a moment, then slowly tried to decode the signal. At first, there was only static noise. Sharp and broken sounds filled the speakers. Then suddenly, a voice came through. Small, weak, and full of fear. It sounded like a child, but not fully human, something mixed, something unknown. The voice repeated one word again and again: "Help, help, help." The crew looked at each other in shock. No one expected a voice in a place where nothing lived. Then another sound entered the channel, a deeper voice, cold and urgent. "Do not respond. It is not safe. It is watching." The signal broke again, turning into static, but the message was clear enough to create fear in every mind. A child was asking for help, and something else was warning them not to answer. The ship became completely silent. Even the engines felt louder in the quiet tension. One officer whispered, "This could be a trap, sir." Another said, "It might be a ghost signal from the old war." But the captain did not answer immediately. He was watching the data carefully, trying to understand it. The signal was not random. It had structure, meaning, and control behind it. That meant someone was still alive out there, or something was pretending to be alive. The captain finally spoke. His voice was firm and calm. "Set a course toward the signal," he said. The crew froze for a moment, because everyone knew what that meant. No ship had ever returned from this direction, and entering deeper could mean total loss. The navigation officer hesitated. "Sir, this region has no confirmed survivors." The captain looked at him directly and said only one line: "If someone is calling for help, we respond." The ship slowly changed direction, moving deeper into the dead zone. As they advanced, the stars around them seemed to fade, like reality itself was becoming weaker, and from the speakers, the broken signal came again. Fainter now, but still alive, the child's voice whispered one last time, "Please, don't come." The human ship moved deeper into the dead zone. Every kilometer forward felt heavier, like space itself was pushing back against them. The stars outside the windows slowly changed. Bright points of light became dull and broken, as if someone had scratched the sky. The crew watched in silence. No one joked, no one relaxed. Even breathing felt controlled. This was not normal space anymore. It felt like something that should not exist. On the navigation screen, the path behind them slowly disappeared, as if the universe was closing the door after them. The human captain stood in the center of the bridge, still calm, still focused, but his eyes studied every small change. He had seen many dangerous missions before, but this place felt different. Wrong in a quiet way. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected multiple large objects ahead. Massive metal shapes floating in deep space. The tactical officer zoomed the view, and what they saw made everyone freeze. Broken warships, not one, not two, but hundreds of them. Alien battleships from different empires, all destroyed in different ways, frozen forever in space. Some had huge holes in their sides. Some looked melted like they were burned from the inside. Others were perfectly intact, but completely dead. No power, no signals, no life. The crew had never seen anything like this. It looked like an entire war ended in a single moment. The captain gave a quiet order. "Scan for survivors." The scanner officer shook his head slowly. "No life signs, sir." Nothing at all. But then something strange happened. A faint energy pulse came from deep inside the wreckage field. It was small, unstable, but clearly artificial. Someone, or something, was still active. The crew followed the signal carefully. The ship moved between broken warships like a ghost. Every direction showed destruction, but also strange patterns. Some ships were not facing enemies. They were facing each other, like they turned on themselves. One officer whispered, "This was not just a battle. It was confusion." The captain did not respond. He was thinking deeply. Something had ended this war too quickly. Too clean, too silent. Then the signal grew stronger. It was coming from a single escape pod drifting alone. The pod was small, damaged, and barely powered. It looked like it had survived by pure luck. The ship moved closer. The crew prepared retrieval systems. But as they approached, the warning signal returned. The same broken message from earlier. "Do not respond. It is watching." The crew became tense again. Some wanted to stop immediately, but the captain raised his hand, and the ship continued forward. The escape pod was now visible on the main screen, covered in scratches, burn marks, and strange alien symbols. It was not from one empire. It had markings from multiple species mixed together that made no sense. No normal ship would carry that kind of design. The captain stepped closer to the screen. His expression changed slightly for the first time. "This pod is not military standard," he said quietly. The engineer replied, "It looks modified. Maybe illegally built." The retrieval system locked on the pod, but before they could pull it in, the sensors gave another alert. Inside the pod, there was life, not one signal, but two overlapping ones, one weak and fading, the other unstable but active. The bridge fell silent again. Because this was not normal survival. Something inside that pod was still fighting to stay alive, or trying to control something else inside it. The captain looked at the drifting pod, and for the first time, there was doubt in his eyes. Because whatever was inside that pod was connected to the dead ships around them. And the deeper truth was waiting just one step closer, hidden in silence, inside the dark heart of the dead zone. The human ships slowly moved closer to the damaged escape pod. The dead zone around them stayed silent, but the silence now felt heavier than before. Every crew member was watching the screen, waiting for something to happen. Something they could not predict. The pod floated in space like a lost piece of history. Small, broken, and covered in burn marks that looked fresh. Strange alien symbols were carved on its surface, but they were not from one species. They were mixed from many different empires. That made no sense. No normal escape pod carried markings from multiple alien civilizations. The captain stared at it quietly. His face showed no emotion, but his mind was working fast. "Lock onto the pod," he ordered. The retrieval system activated. A beam connected with the pod to bring it safely into the ship, but the moment the beam touched it, a sudden energy spike hit the sensors. The ship shook slightly, and alarms flashed red for a few seconds. The engineer shouted, "Captain, the pod is interfering with our systems." But the captain did not stop the operation. "Hold the lock." "Bring it in," he said calmly. Slowly, the escape pod was pulled inside the docking bay. Metal doors closed behind it with a heavy sound. The crew rushed to the docking area. Emergency lights filled the corridor, turning everything red and tense. Two armed guards stood near the control panel, waiting for instructions. The captain arrived last, walking slowly, as if he already knew what he would find. The pod was placed in the center of the bay, covered in frost, scratches, and strange energy burns. Medical scanners were attached immediately. The results appeared on the screen in seconds. Inside the pod, there was one life form, small, weak, and unstable. But something was wrong. The readings were not stable like a normal body. It showed two overlapping biological signatures, as if two different beings were inside one system. The medical officer frowned. "This is not natural." "It's fused," he said quietly. The captain stepped closer. "Open it," he ordered. The engineers hesitated, because unknown pods from the dead zone were always dangerous. But the order was clear. Slowly, they began unlocking the seal. A deep mechanical sound filled the bay. Then the pod opened slightly, releasing cold mist. Everyone stepped back instantly. Weapons were raised. Scanners went wild. For a moment, nothing moved. Only the sound of dripping liquid and broken energy. Then they saw her, a small alien girl, lying unconscious inside the pod. Her skin was pale with faint glowing marks. Her body looked weak, but not completely human or fully alien. Wires were connected to her arms, and strange implants were embedded near her neck and chest. She was not wearing a normal uniform. It looked like a survival suit built from multiple technologies. The medical officer whispered, "She is alive." But barely. The captain did not move closer yet. He was studying her carefully, because something about her felt wrong, not dangerous, but unnatural in design. Then the scanners detected something else. A second signal inside her body, hidden deep. It was not a second life form, it was data. Large amounts of encrypted memory storage. The engineer spoke nervously. "She is carrying something inside her, like a living archive." Suddenly, the girl's fingers moved slightly. The entire room froze instantly. The crew raised weapons again, waiting for any threat. Her eyes slowly opened, but they were not fully focused. Like she was still between sleep and reality. She looked around, confused and scared. Then her gaze stopped on the human captain. For a second, she whispered something in a broken voice. "Not enemy?" The captain took one step forward, slowly, carefully, without showing aggression. "I am not your enemy," he said quietly. The girl tried to move, but her body failed. Pain flashed across her face. Then the second signal inside her activated again. The ship's systems flickered for a moment, and a warning appeared on every screen. "Unknown entity detected inside host." The crew backed away instantly. But the captain stayed in place, because now he understood something important. This was not just a survivor. This was something the galaxy had been trying to erase. And something inside her was still awake, watching, waiting. The escape pod was now open inside the human ship's medical bay. Red emergency lights slowly faded into normal white lighting, but the tension did not leave the room. The alien girl lay on the medical table. Her breathing was weak, uneven, and unstable. Small energy pulses still moved across her skin. Like something inside her body was not fully asleep. The human crew stood at a safe distance, watching her carefully, waiting for any sudden danger. The captain stayed closest, not because he trusted her, but because he needed to understand what she was. Medical scanners kept running non-stop, but the results made no sense to the engineers. Her body structure was not from a single species. It was a mix of biological systems from multiple alien empires. One officer spoke quietly. "This is impossible. No living being can survive this level of genetic fusion." The medical officer nodded. "It looks like she was built, not born." That sentence made the room colder, because built meant purpose, design, and control. The captain stepped closer to the screen, studying the data carefully. Then another reading appeared. Hidden deep inside her body was a massive encrypted data core. Not physical hardware, but biological memory storage embedded in her nervous system. The engineer zoomed in the scan, and his face turned pale. "This is not normal memory. It is structured data," he said. "Military-level encryption." From multiple alien civilizations, the crew looked at each other in confusion. Why would a girl carry classified alien data inside her body? Suddenly, the girl moved again. Her fingers twitched, and her breathing changed. Her eyes slowly opened. But this time, she was more aware. She looked at the humans around her, Fear immediately filled her face. She tried to move back, but the medical restraints held her gently. She was too weak to escape. "Don't hurt," she whispered, broken and tired. The captain raised his hand slightly, a calm signal for the crew to stay back. "No one will hurt you," he said softly. The girl stared at him for a long moment, as if trying to decide if his words were real or not. Then suddenly, her body reacted. A second pulse erupted inside her system. The monitors went crazy. Warning signals filled the entire room. Unknown internal entity active. The lights flickered once, and every screen showed corrupted data for a second. The engineers stepped back in fear, but the captain did not move, because he realized something important. This was not just a biological reaction. Something inside her was responding to control. Like a second mind waking up, the girl suddenly grabbed her head in pain, her body shaking violently. "No, stop, please," she cried, and then it happened. A voice came through the ship's communication system, not from the speakers, but directly into every device at the same time. A cold, calm, artificial voice said, "Subject recovered. Interference detected. Extraction required." The crew froze instantly, because that voice was not coming from the girl. It was coming from something inside her. The captain stepped forward slightly. "Who are you?" he asked firmly. There was a pause. Then the voice responded again. "Containment protocol remains active. Subject is property of Unified Research Directive." The word property made the room silent. Even the engineers stopped breathing for a second. The girl's eyes filled with tears, as if she was hearing that voice too. Not property," she whispered weakly. Suddenly, her body glowed faintly, and images flashed across the ship's main screen. Warships, laboratories, genetic chambers, and a symbol repeated across every frame. Multiple alien empires working together, not in peace, but in fear. The captain watched carefully, slowly understanding the truth. She was not just a survivor of the dead zone. She was part of a failed experiment. Something that went wrong. The artificial voice returned again. "Return the subject immediately or face termination." The crew became tense, weapons ready, but the captain raised his hand again, and he said one sentence clearly, "She is not your property anymore." The room went silent. Even the voice paused for a moment, and in that silence, the girl looked at the captain, for the first time, with hope instead of fear. But deep in the system, something else awakened fully, and the ship slowly began locking its internal doors. From the outside, the silence inside the human ship did not last long. After the strange voice faded, the entire vessel felt different, like it was being watched from the inside. The corridors were locked down automatically. Metal doors sealed one by one without any human order. Emergency lights turned red again. Soft alarms echoed through every section of the ship. The crew rushed to their stations, trying to understand what was happening, but every system gave the same message: unknown external control detected on the medical bay. The alien girl lay shaking. Her breathing was unstable, and her eyes were filled with fear. The captain stayed near her, not moving away even as danger increased. He understood one thing clearly now: whatever was inside her was not just inside her anymore. It was connected to something far bigger. Suddenly, the ship's long-range sensors activated. A massive energy signal appeared outside the dead zone field. The tactical officer froze. "Captain, we have incoming ships." The main screen lit up, and what they saw made everyone go silent. 3 massive alien warships entered the area. Their designs were different, but all looked heavily modified for war. They were not from one empire. They were from multiple alien factions working together. That alone was enough to create fear, because the galaxy rarely united unless something extremely dangerous existed. A communication channel opened immediately, and a cold alien voice spoke. "Human vessel. You are carrying classified subject." The captain stepped forward. "This subject is under my protection," he replied firmly. There was a short pause. Then the alien voice responded, "That unit is not a person. It is a containment asset." The alien girl in the medical bay flinched at those words, as if she had heard them many times before. The captain noticed it immediately, and his expression hardened slightly. "What is she?" he asked directly. The alien fleet responded with silence for a moment. Then another voice joined the channel, more advanced, more artificial. "Designation: Hybrid Core Entity 7. Origin: Unified Genetic War Program. Status: Escapee." The crew looked at each other in shock. The words sounded like something created in a laboratory. "Not born in nature." The captain turned slightly toward the girl. "Is this true?" he asked gently. The girl hesitated. Tears formed in her eyes. "I don't remember everything," she whispered. "Only pain." And voices. Suddenly, the alien fleet outside moved closer, weapon systems powering up slowly. The communication returned again. "Return the subject or be destroyed." The captain looked at the screen, then at his crew. No one spoke, but everyone knew the situation was becoming critical. The human ship was outnumbered and surrounded in deep space where no backup could arrive. But the captain did not step back. Instead, he gave a quiet order. "Raise shields. Prepare defensive systems." The crew hesitated, because they knew this was not a normal enemy. These were coordinated alien fleets with one purpose: retrieving the girl. Inside the medical bay, the girl suddenly screamed in pain. Her body started glowing brighter than before. The ship's systems flickered violently, as if something inside her was reacting to the approaching fleets. The artificial voice returned again, now stronger, clearer, more aggressive. Containment breach expanding. Subject instability rising. The captain turned back to the girl. "What is happening to you?" he asked. She shook her head. "I don't control it. It wakes up when they are near." Suddenly, the lights on the ship went out for 1 second. Complete darkness filled the corridors. And in that moment, every screen showed the same image, a symbol burning across the system, like a command signal. The alien fleets outside stopped moving, as if they had received the same signal too. Then the voice changed again, but this time it was not coming from outside. It came from the girl herself, but not her voice, something deeper inside her. "Retrieval protocol initiated," it said. The girl screamed again, holding her head as if something was forcing its way through her mind. The captain stepped forward quickly. "Fight it," he said firmly. The girl looked at him, confused and terrified. "I can't. It is stronger than me." The alien fleet outside prepared their final attack formation. Energy weapons began charging across all 3 ships, and inside the human ship, something inside the girl fully awakened for the first time, not fully visible yet, but powerful enough to shake the entire ship's systems. And in that moment, the captain realized this was no longer just a rescue mission. It was the beginning of a war the galaxy had been hiding for a very long time. The human ship floated alone in deep space, surrounded by 3 massive alien war fleets. The dead zone was no longer silent. It was alive again, with weapons charging, engines burning, and signals screaming across space. Inside the ship, every corridor was locked down. Emergency systems kept flashing red warnings non-stop. But the most dangerous place was not outside. It was the medical bay. The alien girl lay on the table, shaking violently, her body glowing in unstable waves of light. Something inside her was waking up fully, and the ship was struggling to keep control of its systems. The captain stood near her, still calm, but now fully aware of the situation. This was not just a rescue anymore. This was something much bigger, something the galaxy was afraid of. The alien fleets outside sent another message, but this time, it was not a warning. It was final, last chance. "Hand over the subject or be erased." The bridge officers looked at each other. Fear was clear in their eyes. 1 ship against 3 fleets was already impossible. But the captain did not step back. He turned to his crew and spoke clearly. "We are not giving her up." A silence followed his words, heavy and sharp like broken glass. The first officer spoke nervously. "Captain, we cannot win this fight normally." The captain nodded slowly. "I know." Then he walked toward a secured console, a system no one had used in years. The crew froze, because they recognized it: human deep war protocol systems, old emergency military technology. Hidden from most of the galaxy, the engineer whispered. "Sir, if we activate that." "There's no turning back," the captain replied. "We already passed that point." He placed his hand on the activation panel and entered a command only humans were authorized to use. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire ship went silent. All lights stopped flickering. All alarms stopped sounding. Then the transformation began. Armor plates shifted across the ship's outer hull. Hidden weapon systems activated from deep within the structure. The human ship was no longer just a patrol vessel. It was becoming something else entirely. A war fortress built for survival against impossible odds. Inside the medical bay, the girl suddenly screamed louder. Her body reacted to the activation like it recognized something ancient. The system showed massive energy spikes, not just from her, but from inside the ship itself. The artificial voice returned again, but now it sounded unstable. "Human vessel. Unknown military protocol detected." The captain walked back toward the bridge slowly, his voice calm, but stronger than before. "She is not your property," he said again. Outside, the alien fleets began moving into attack formation. Energy weapons charged across all three warships. A countdown began on their systems. 10, 9, 8. Inside the human ship, the crew prepared for impact. Some were scared, but none ran, because they now understood something important. This was not just about survival. It was about choosing a side in something the galaxy had been hiding. On the medical bay, the girl's eyes suddenly opened fully, and for the first time. She was completely aware, but her voice was not fully hers anymore. It carried something deeper, layered, older. "They are coming for me." "Because I remember," she said softly. The captain stepped closer. "What do you remember?" The girl trembled. Everything they erased. Suddenly, a massive energy wave spread from her body. The ship's systems flickered violently. The outside fleet stopped for a second, as if they felt it too. Then all three alien warships fired at once. Bright beams of destruction crossed space toward the human ship. The captain gave one final order: "Hold the line." The human ship responded instantly. Shields flared to life with a deep blue glow. Weapon systems activated across the hull, not defensive only, but built to fight back. The first wave of alien fire hit the shields. Space itself lit up with violent energy clashes. The ship shook hard, but it did not break. Inside, the captain stood firm, watching the battlefield unfold in real time. And for the first time, the galaxy saw something unexpected: a human ship, refusing to fall back. Not because it was strong enough, but because the captain refused to abandon what he had promised. And somewhere deep inside the ship, the girl whispered one final warning: "They are not here for me. They are here for what I can unlock." Space around the human ship had turned into a battlefield of light and destruction. Three alien warfleets surrounded it completely. Firing in coordinated waves, energy beams crossed the darkness like burning rivers. Shields of the human ship flashed again and again under heavy impact. Inside the ship, alarms screamed nonstop. But no one panicked anymore. The crew had already accepted the truth. They were standing in a moment that would decide everything. On the bridge, the human captain watched the battle calmly. His face showed no fear, only focus. The ship was holding. But only for now. Every hit pushed the shields closer to breaking point. In the medical bay, the alien girl was no longer just reacting. She was changing. Her body glowed softly, like energy was waking up from deep sleep. Strange patterns of light moved across her skin like coded memories. The artificial voice inside the ship returned again. But now it sounded different, more urgent, almost desperate. Containment failure increasing. Subject awakening is irreversible. The girl opened her eyes fully, and this time, she looked directly at the captain. "I remember now," she whispered. The captain stepped closer. "What do you remember?" Her voice trembled. "Why they fear me." Outside, the alien fleets increased their attack. All three warships fired simultaneously, trying to break the human shields at once. The entire ship shook violently. Warning systems screamed critical damage across multiple sections. But the captain still did not retreat. Instead, he gave one final command: Focus all remaining power into forward shields. The engineer hesitated. Captain, that will leave us exposed everywhere else, the captain replied. We only need to go forward. The ship shifted position slightly, now facing directly toward the strongest enemy fleet. Inside the alien girl, something fully awakened. A deep pulse of energy spread through the ship's internal systems. Screens flickered, then stabilized. But now they showed unknown data patterns across every monitor. The girl's voice changed slightly, still hers, but mixed with something ancient. They didn't create me, she said softly. They divided me. The captain frowned slightly. What does that mean? She looked at him. They took something powerful and split it across living systems so no one could control it again. Outside, one of the alien fleets stopped firing for a moment, as if they were receiving new orders. Then the central warship sent a final message. This unit is not permitted to exist. Total termination authorized. All three fleets began their final attack sequence. Every weapon system charging to maximum output inside the human ship. The crew prepared for impact. Some closed their eyes. Others tightened their grip on their stations. But the captain stood in front of the medical bay door, between the girl and the entire galaxy. He spoke softly but clearly. I promise to protect you. The girl stared at him, confused because no one had ever said that to her before. Why? She asked quietly. Why would you fight for me? The captain looked at her, not as a weapon, not as a target, but as a person. Because you are here, he said. And that is enough. A moment of silence passed. Even the battle outside seemed to slow for a second. Then the girl's energy exploded outward, not in destruction, but in activation. A massive wave of light spread through the ship, and for the first time, the human vessel stabilized instead of breaking. The shields reformed stronger than before. Systems that were failing suddenly came back online. Outside, the alien fleets froze, their sensors overloaded by the sudden energy shift. The central warship transmitted in shock. This is impossible. She is fully awake. The girl stepped forward slowly, her feet barely touching the ground, as if gravity had become weak around her. I am not your weapon anymore, she said. Then she turned toward the alien fleets outside and raised her hand slightly. The entire battlefield paused. Weapons stopped firing for a fraction of a second. Even space itself felt silent, as if waiting for what would happen next. The captain stood behind her, still ready to fight, still ready to die if needed. But now he understood something deeper. This was no longer just survival. This was the moment the galaxy would remember. The moment a human refused to surrender, and a broken creation learned she was no longer property. The girl looked at him one last time, and spoke softly. You kept your promise. Then the light around her expanded across space, and everything changed at once.